everybody, it's Joe Parrott, founder of the Ladies Working Dog Group. Are you feeling stuck with your Gundog training? Trust me, you're not alone, and that's exactly why you need to be here. Every week, we're bringing you the best tips and hacks to make training your Gundog easy peasy. We'll keep it straightforward, no fuss, just actionable guidance that you can put straight to use. So let's get started. Welcome to our final episode of Founded Freshed for 2024. This episode, we're going to be talking to our experts about a year in review. So let's start with our amazing Claire Denya. Claire, what was the most significant training lesson that you have learned in 2024?
For myself, my biggest learning? Oh, okay. This is going to take some thinking about, isn't it? My biggest learning curve, training my own dogs of 2024. Okay. So I'm gonna say this one. I'm gonna say my biggest learning curve was to not be afraid to go back a step in my training with my dog and rebuild back up. So what I mean by that is when things go wrong, it can always feel a little bit like, oh, something's gone wrong or this has failed. And it can feel quite discouraging and disheartening to have to go back a step in your training. But this year, I've gone back in steps with my training, with my dogs, in so many various ways with the different dogs. Actually, I've really started to embrace that and learn from that and be more open to changing what I'm teaching my dogs or how I'm teaching my dog something. And so now when I have to do that, instead of feeling deflated, I've seen it as a challenge. I've seen it as a way to come up with something new, a new way to get the same message across the dog, but in maybe a different way. And that has been probably my greatest challenge, but one that has left me feeling really quite inspired.
Fabulous. Now, my next question, because this is going to be a bit of a round robin when it comes to the questions. Can you share a proud moment from your work with the LWDG this year?
Yeah, I could share lots. So yeah, I definitely can. So we ran a few LWDG training weekends this year, and every single one of them was amazing in terms of watching the ladies grow and watching their confidence grow. But I think one of the ones I'm going to say about is how so many of the ladies were so frightened about putting themselves on the level of weekend that they should have been on. They were playing their dog's ability and their own ability. So I'm going to say that to see ladies go, I think I can do the next level without us telling them that, with them just saying, my dog is achieving, I am achieving, I can do this, and I'm ready for the next level. I'm going to put that down as my achievement because there were so many individual things, and I wouldn't want to say that this person's was better than that person. So I'm going to put that as my thing because so many ladies were in that situation.
It'll be interesting to see what the other experts say, because I'm going to do this with you all individually. So you're not going to know each other's answers, which is fabulous. And it'd be interesting to see if any of you come across the same type of responses to things. This one, I think you might all come up with the same one, but I don't know if you will. What's one common training mistake you've helped handlers overcome in 2024?
One. These are so hard. These questions are so hard. Okay, I'm going to say hold and delivery. That's the one I'm going to say, because that is the one that I have so many ladies struggling with hold and delivery, and so many of them have achieved it. And so I think for me, that's probably going to be the one, the most common one that I've personally worked with the ladies this year.
Fabulous. What was your favorite new training, like exercise or tip or strategy that you came across in 2024?
Ooh. So I've always been really into engagement and play, really loved it. But this year especially, I have really delved deeper into play, the benefits of play. and breaking the stigma around play with a gun dog. So I think that's the one for me, that 2024 has been a bit of a game changer for me.
Yeah, I think you're not only going to be known as like the reluctant retriever queen, I think it'll go on to become the reluctant retriever and play queen.
I'll take that. They're good ones. They're good titles.
Okay, let's talk about a particular success story from a member that's inspired you this year.
Oh, crikey. There's so many members that inspire me. I'm going to go with Vicky with her golden retriever Tully. Their journey has really inspired me this year, and I couldn't be more proud of how she has overcome challenges with her dog and just her passion as well for the LWDG and for her dog and her passion for learning. Like, her passion for learning has, and now I feel bad because I can now think of other people in my head that I could also say this about, but she was the one that sprung to mind. So that's the one I'm going to stick with for this year. Vicky, yeah.
Looking ahead to the future, what's the one piece of advice you'd like to give handlers in 2024 for them to take into 2025?
Have a sense of humour about your training. Be consistent, but be flexible to change where change is necessary. There you go. That was a serious answer.
That'll be a quote somewhere on social media within the next couple of weeks. Are there any emerging trends or any sort of approaches in Gundog training that like we're just seeing to start coming that you're excited for in 2025? Because things are always changing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Things are always changing. So I don't know if this has come actually into the Gundog world yet, or whether it's just come into my Gundog world. But I've been doing quite a lot of fun, advanced, quirky, obedient stuff with my Gundog clients. They've been like booking with me to do flashy heel work, position transitions, and we've been delving and exploring the benefits of those things for a gun dog and seeing transformational changes. I don't know if that's a real word. Is that a real word? Transformational changes. Transformational changes in the dog's kind of attitude to the heel work, but also their attitude in their hold and delivery when they have learnt to do position transitions. And then we add a hold into that as well. So it may not be in the bigger gun dog world yet, but in my little gun dog world, that's something that I've really enjoyed exploring and playing with.
If you could predict one key skill that every handler will need in 2025, what would it be?
Crikey. One key skill for gun dog training?
Yeah, one that every handler will need.
Recall. Recall, it's got to be that simple, hasn't it? I was thinking like, oh, stop, whistle, la 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 la, and I'm like, no, everyone needs a recall.
So moving on to some personal reflections, how has being an LWDG expert impacted you this year?
I absolutely love my role as an LWDG expert. I get so much satisfaction out of being able to share experiences with the ladies, share knowledge with the ladies, support the ladies, the friendships that come from the group, my friendship with you and Sam and Gemma and the other ladies that we're involved with that are all part of the gang. It's just such a unique community. And so for me, being part of it is a real honour and a privilege and something that I absolutely adore.
Oh, you're making me all like all glowy inside now. It's like, oh. But you're absolutely right, like completely off topic. Like you've seen the story as well. I won't go into names, but when you see somebody in a London go on a shoot with somebody like in the countryside, and you're like, only in our group would this have even happened. And that's no worlds collide, but worlds combine. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And little things like that I just think, oh, wow, we change the world one step at a time. And it's things like this that changes it.
It is 100% that. And I think also, if you look at the dog training world as a whole and the gun dog world as a whole, there's so much judgment out there. So it's so nice to be part of a community where there isn't judgment, and a supportive community where people genuinely want to help and support each other. And I think one of the things that for me, the weekends, the training weekends, and our conference weekend, like the way that brings people together, it creates long lasting friendships.
That's going to be mental in 2025. I'm calling that one now. That weekend it will be like bonkers. Was one thing you've learned from the members in 2024?
Oh, one thing I've learned from the members. I learned so much from the members. Something I've really learned. I don't know if I'm going to word this right. I'm going to try to word it right, but to be grateful for every single moment we share as a community. Like that's what I think I'm saying that as I mean it to be coming out. But like it's the little things. It's the being grateful for the little things. And yeah, they lead to the big things. Of course they do. But what you really see in the community is this gratitude for the every little thing. And I love that. And it's really helped me stay. Now I've lost another word. It's really helped me to stay happy and to stay focused, because I'm less concerned about other stuff. This is an amazing little thing right here. I love it. And I think I've learnt that from the ladies for sure.
If you could summarize 2024 in one word or phrase, what would it be and why?
Roller coaster. Roller coaster. For me as a trainer, there's been so many highs. In my personal life with my dogs, I've had losses. In my personal life, there's been some struggles with health. It's been a roller coaster. But the highs have massively carried me through some of the toughest times, as has the support of the network around me.
Do you know, when you're saying that now, and I'm like sort of reflecting and I'm thinking like 2024 has been a horrific year for me again, another roller coaster. But again, amazing highs, horrific lows. Do you find, especially from a health context, I can sit and dwell in what's wrong, or I go into the group and I start talking to people, and for hours I can forget everything that's not right or not fair, or not that anything in life is fair, but I can forget all of that like external stuff, and I'm just like happily looking at pictures, and nobody's like having to go with one another. Everybody's really good friends, and I'm just like, this is this little bubble of joy, isn't it?
It massively is. And I couldn't agree more with what you just said. And sometimes I think I'm a bit weird in the way that I deal with stuff. And I can get through difficult days, painful days, by being able to be there for other people and to cheer other people on, and by supporting other people and sharing my knowledge. And just, it makes me feel like regardless of the crappy bits, there's something worth going for all the time. And I don't mean that in a morbid way, but I genuinely mean it. Yeah, I know my legs really hurt and they don't work properly, but I'm giving value. I feel like I'm giving value to someone and I'm supporting someone, but I'm equally embracing their happiness and getting joy from their happiness too. I think that
I think like I totally get you on this, because for me it's very similar. We have purpose in the group and we are contributing in a way that it doesn't matter what we've got going on, we can contribute. And that's not just for me and you, that's for everybody who's contributing, that's got crap going on in their lives. We're all contributing. And I think that that equal sense of contribution and being valued within the group for our contribution is almost a mental painkiller to allow you to see the point in getting up the next day and going the next day, isn't it?
Exactly, 100%. It gives you purpose. It gives you reason. It gives you a feeling of it's worth it. It's worth it. I can get through the bad stuff because all this is there to share and do and enjoy and love. And that shared like passion for our dogs and the friendship that comes from that is a reason to love life hugely.
I'll stop this there because this could end up being a whole podcast in itself about how we find purpose from the group. Thank you so much for your responses. And I'm really looking forward to adding the other experts in on this so that people can see what they have to say about this too. So moving on to our next expert, we are going to be asking Samantha Thornycroft-Taylor the same questions that we've just gone through with Claire. As I mentioned, the experts haven't heard each other's answers, so it'll be interesting to see what Sam has to say. So Sam, let's start by reflecting on the past year. What was the most significant training lesson that you either taught or learned in 2024?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I don't know. They're all significant in their own right. That's a tough question. Okay, so I think for me, it would probably be a gentleman who I've been working with who his dog decided that it was going to eat the birds when it went out picking them up. So we've spent quite a long time going back to the beginning and working through how it should act around birds. And we started with sort of wrapping the birds in a bit like a tubey grip, for want of a better description. And then we had some quite major breakthroughs relatively recently, well, at the beginning of the season, where he was then able to go out on a seen bird with no covering and bring it back and deliver it really nicely to hand. And that was really heartwarming to see, both for me as the trainer and the owner and the dog, actually, everyone knowing that it was going right. And the dog was then prepared and set up for going back out working this year.
Yeah, because a lot of people say that if a dog munches birds, you'll never stop it.
They do. And I like to think that this gentleman and his dog have proved that to be wrong. You know, he's put a lot of time and effort and work into it. And he's come to see me quite frequently throughout the off season. And well, like I said, it is heartwarming knowing that actually they can go back out and do what they set out to do in the beginning.
Fabulous. Can you share a proud moment from your work with the LWDG this year?
Do you know, I think that would be getting over my own nervousness and standing up and talking at the Weekender, despite the fact that I couldn't get my presentation to work. So I kind of wobbled a bit to start with, but I think I found my feet and I think I delivered what I wanted to say. But that was out of my comfort zone, I've got to be honest.
And you did fabulously well with it.
Thank you.
What's one common training mistake you have helped handlers overcome in 2024? So what's like the thing you're seeing over and over?
Probably improving engagement. And then as a result of that, being able to get some nice heel work, some nice focus and some nice overall work out of the dog. But a lot of it is certainly for those that have got dogs of working breeds, but they're not necessarily destined for the shooting field. You often find that the dogs are a little bit frustrated, overwhelmed. The environment is too exciting for them, and therefore getting engagement is quite tricky. So being able to bring that back in and educate the dog that it doesn't need to go everywhere at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that actually if it stays by its owner's feet or, you know, within their bubble around them, then it gets all the fun it's required. And seeing the change in the owners as well, seeing them go from I can't do anything with my dog, I can't let it off the lead because it just runs away, to actually we're now working together and we are a harmonious team.
What's your favorite new training tip or strategy from this year?
Ooh. So I think there are, with any trainer, we evolve as time moves on and we learn more, we put more things in. So I think whilst there's not necessarily a distinctive, I do this, this, and this differently to how I did before, things have evolved and have organically matured. But I would say I probably use now like an unsteady reward for a stop whistle more than I would have done in the past. It has its necessities in terms of timing and releasing to go into that reward. But I think before I would have probably been more of a, well, your reward, your second dummy for stopping on the first one is already on the floor. Whereas now I'm more of a, okay, when we're introducing the stop whistle, you've stopped fantastically. So now I'm going to give you an unsteady retrieve with a verbal release.
So more like just a, I suppose I quite like that, because I think like me and you come from the same line of training of a stop is a stop and it's quite a serious thing and don't overuse it. Whereas now being able to do it this way, you can train stop every single day because it's just so much fun for the dog.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's not as, it's more of a game, but also it just brings it, it's like a stepping stone between parts A and B that I'd have had before. I've now got A.5.
Absolutely. Okay. Was there a particular success story from a member that inspired you?
Yes. So there's a lady who actually I spoke about on the Dog and Duck the other day. And the first time I met her, we watched her dog disappear across the field. And in that moment, I did wonder how long or if it was going to come back, given that it had never been here before. And while she's still working through it, she's still progressing things. We have recently transitioned to moving off long line on occasion. And again, the engagement is back in there. The dog is hunting a really nice pattern. And the biggest win is that it will now retrieve canvas dummies, whereas before, originally, it didn't want to retrieve at all. And then it was only retrieving a particular stuffed toy, which, to be honest, once the toy got wet out in the grass field, it very quickly went, yeah, I don't want to pick that up anymore. And now she's doing multiple steady scene retrieves, you know, multiple dummies on the floor at the same time. So again, she's worked very, very, very hard, but I'm very proud of her and for her for the work that she's put in and for the results she's getting.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to handlers for 2025?
Engagement. Work on your engagement. And with that, you can then build to anything. So engagement is, I think, one of the really, really key foundations that a lot of people potentially miss out on because they've got these high drive dogs that just want to do everything and go everywhere. And if you haven't got the engagement, if you haven't got that eye contact and that focus, you're going to be in on a back foot to then move forward. So if you can build that engagement, as young dogs build it through play, and even older dogs build it through play, but really work on that engagement. And then when you put the other foundations in, they'll fall in really quickly for you.
Are there any emerging trends or approaches in Gundog training that you're excited for in 2025?
So again, I think that's probably bringing in more fun. You know, Gundog training of old was very, very traditional, very strict, very, I say jump, you say how high. But bringing the fun into it, you know, and I would like to think that to a certain extent, I've always tried to make the training fun for the dogs. I want them to work with me as part of a team rather than for me as my tool. And I've seen a lot of people now, you know, on social media, they put videos up, reels up of them just playing with their dogs. And I do think it benefits your training, it improves your bond, and it makes the dog emotionally more happy as well. And if you've got an emotionally happy dog and an emotionally happy owner, that can only be a good thing. It just helps bring everything together.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the thing, isn't it? It's play equals engagement. Engagement equals the dog not becoming self-employed.
Exactly. It gives the dog a reason, more of a reason to stick with you rather than just because you said so.
I like that one. And I think that is definitely something we're seeing more of. And it's something we've always like promoted for years and years and years. But I think it's being accepted more across the industry now as being a totally acceptable way to train.
I think it is. And I think whereas before you would have got people that sort of said, oh, you know, I'm not doing anything with my dog until they're 6 months old. now a lot more people are starting to realize that you can build so many of the foundations of what you want to work towards through play and through engagement pre 6 months old. And you're on the right path then, rather than getting to 6 months old and thinking, now we've got to go backwards because we went wrong somewhere. You're already on that right track to the path for success.
Fabulous. Okay, next question. What is one habit or mindset shift that handlers should focus on to improve their training journey?
Have confidence. And I know that might sound weird, but I think probably 3 times in this last week, I have been working with a handler with their dog in the lesson, and I've just repeated confidence, believe in yourself, believe in the dog, as they've been, say, quartering up the field or through the woodland. Take quartering, for example, that asking for a turn rather than going, okay, we're turning now. And just that slight shift in their mannerisms, in their confidence and in their body language makes a huge difference to how the dog responds. And I think it's tricky, especially if you're working with a dog that you've not had a very big success rate before. But it is one of those things that even if on the inside you're a little bit, don't know how this is going to go, if you exude confidence from the outset, then again, your dog is much, much more predisposed to listen to your commands and kind of follow you and go, okay, you know what you're talking about. So let's go do this and let's go do this together.
On personal reflections, how has being an LWDG expert impacted you this year?
It's been great. I've met so many new people, and I've met clients that have come from the LWDG, and by the same token, I've met clients that I've pushed towards the LWDG. It's such a fantastic community. Yourself, Jem, Claire, we all get on really, really well. We all train in similar ways, and it's been brilliant to hear people's success stories, to be able to help people to get those success stories, and to be able to talk about anything and everything with people that I'm so similar to.
Yeah, because I know with confidence that any member could go to any one of you and they would get, if not exactly the same training advice, very, very similar training advice. And then I know that if they then went to the next expert and asked, that you wouldn't conflict each other's advice. You would almost build upon whatever they were told before. And I think that's something very, very unique and very special, that 3 people in 3 different parts of the country can all support our members in exactly the same way.
I do too. I think it's really important, and I think it's fantastic because, like you say, it might not be exactly the same, but it will be variations of the same thing. We've all got very similar backgrounds, we've all got very similar thought processes, and we've all got very similar successful ways and methods of training each individual aspect or behavior. So it just being able to, or for the ladies to be able to sort of bounce between us if they want to, and maybe seek further clarification, maybe just they've got a weekend spare, their partner's away and they want to go and train somewhere else, they want to have a weekend away themselves doing something they like. But like you say, because it's not total opposites, it's not conflicting, it just helps keep building the success and the future training.
What's one thing you've learned from the members or from the community in 2024?
I think working with the LWDG, and one thing that the ladies have taught me is that I can do online training. And I know that might sound weird, and I've done it for a little while. I didn't start as early as anyone else did. When COVID hit, I basically shut doors and went, oh, well, I can't work, rather than I need to do online, because I wasn't mentally ready to take that step. For me, I much prefer, and I still do prefer, to see dogs in person with their owners, because I think you can get a lot from it. But working with the ladies online and seeing their success stories and being able to help them through things and give advice alongside Jem and Claire and just stand alone, it's meant that I'm now more confident to go, okay, if you are out of area or we can't find a time that works for both of us, then in person, then we can actually work through this online and we can get similar, if not the same, results.
Finally, last question. If you could summarize 2024 in one word or phrase, what would it be and why?
It's been a journey. And I think, and every year, every week, every month is a journey of some description. But this year has been different for many ways. It's in June, I lost my eldest dog, who was nearly 15, and that was hard to get over. I bred him, so I knew him from literally his first breath to his last breath. And that was an emotional time for me. He was the son of my first ever dog, so I lost my last link to her. But also, I think, well, as you said, I've evolved as a trainer, both online and in person. Things have changed organically, naturally. And Joe, I was in a car accident it was November 2023, so it was just before, but it spilled over. I had to take quite a bit of time off work. And I have to say, actually, that really knocked my confidence. And it's probably taken me until now, a year later, to fully get back up to where I was pre-accident. There was for a long time, because I think of enforced rest, there was a fair amount of imposter syndrome. I was worried that my clients were going to go elsewhere because I couldn't train them. And I was worried that when I did go back to work, I wasn't as fit as I was before. And therefore, could I cope with a full day? And it's been a year-long journey to get back to where I was pre-accident, to go, do you know what? Actually, I am still good at what I do. My clients are still enjoying training with me and finding results. And I'd say 99.5% of them waited for me to get better to resume training with me. And that in itself should have given me a massive confidence boost at the time. But because of everything else that was going on in the background, I've not been able to clearly see it until now.
For me, when I watch you from the minute we've met, I think this year I've seen you more and more step into who I see on the field, on the screen. So like when I come and train with you, and like you're very calm, you're very composed, you're very confident, and like you can teach me something and you can say something and be smiling and laughing, and I learn even though you're correcting me, if that makes sense. It's always a lovely thing. And it's now this year, I think you stepped into that and exceeded that, and you're that person I see on the field is definitely when I listen to you now on like Ask Us Anything or in live coaching, you're very much at ease passing on the information.
I think that's right. I think I've stopped second guessing myself quite so much, and working with Jem and Claire and yourself has helped with that, because like you say, we all train very similarly. So in the beginning, certainly on the online calls, I was potentially answering a question going in the back of my mind, oh, I hope the others agree. Have I said anything that they disagree with? Whereas now there's enough confidence. I've done it enough. I've built it enough. And you guys have massively helped me to go, do you know what? This is what I believe. And actually, even if someone disagrees with me, this is how I would do it. And this is how I see it. And not come away from it a nervous wreck thinking, oh, did I say something wrong? Now I'm like you say, much more confident at doing it.
Yeah, I've actually heard you this year once or twice say, actually, I disagree. And it's always made me like smile and laugh, because even where you've disagreed, it's been like just a slight tweak on the same thing. And it's been brilliant. But I'm just like, it fills me with joy. Loads of things that happened with the members and with you guys like fill me with joy. But like seeing all of the experts just like, you're all amazing anyway, but like step it up a level is like, it's like crazy. Like you were all brilliant anyway, but now you're brilliant and you're comfortable being brilliant. And I think you should be like that, because you are brilliant.
Thank you very much. I do genuinely think there is a lot more confidence there, and like we said, online wasn't really my forte. I have become much more comfortable doing that. And back in the beginning, if I said something like, actually, I disagree, I'd probably have been going, oh, goodness, who in the background has got their heads in their hands thinking, what is this woman going to say? Whereas now it is more of a, okay, I hear what you're saying, and in parts I agree with it, but I would tweak this little bit. And I don't feel nervous about saying that anymore.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much for being in the hot seat for 2024. We have Gemma left to do now, ladies, and we should be really interested to see what answers she has that are similar or different to the two that have gone before. Thank you, Sam.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Jo. Lovely to speak to you as always.
Okay, last to go through our questions for the experts, reflecting on the last year, is Gemma. Gem, ready for the round robin of questions I'm going to hit you with?
Oh, don't know. I'm a bit scared.
Don't be scared. It's going to be awesome. So, first question. Can you share a proud moment from your work with the LWDG this year?
I think my proudest moment this year was probably hosting our first Spaniel weekend. We haven't ever held a weekend at ours, and it was actually probably the best weather that we had all year, so that was a bonus. But no, we had a really good time with some really lovely ladies, which I hope all had really good things to take away and work on with their dogs. So yes, that was my proudest moment.
What's one common training mistake you've helped handlers overcome in 2024?
I think possibly putting too much pressure on their dogs. We see it a lot that they have very high expectations of their dogs, which is great, but often they try and push through things too quickly and put too much pressure not only on their dogs but on themselves as well. So I think helping people set realistic goals, targets for their dogs so that they can achieve their end goal, but to break it down a little bit, have some fun in the process and take the pressure off.
What was your favourite new training tip or strategy from this year?
I think formalising my bubble training has probably been my favourite tip that has been used successfully by people, but putting a name to it is something that I've always done, but putting a name of a bubble on it and helping people understand how to create their bubble and use it effectively, I think has been my favourite tip.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you on that. I think that's been one of the best sort of like things that I've seen come into people's conversation. When people are talking to one another now in the group of members, they talk about, I've been working on my bubble, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, everybody just clicked with that. They get it. They know what they're trying to do. And it's sometimes so far that somebody will say something in just a different way. Like you said, you solidified it into this bubble theory and everyone, oh, I get it now. Something I've been struggling with for probably years, days, months, whatever. I get it now because it's been given this visualization in my head of what I'm trying to achieve with my dog. Yeah, so I'd absolutely agree with you in that one. Was there a particular success story from a member that has inspired you this year?
I think I would probably say T with Hunter, the little cocker. She joined our group and had never done any sort of Gundog work or anything with her dog. Lives in London. Came on our Spaniel weekend, had a wicked time, hopefully. And it's been really nice just watching her and Hunter have fun throughout the year doing all sorts of Gundog stuff. And she went on her first shoot with him the other day with another one of our members. Yeah, it's just been really nice. And she's actually joined up to Claire's instructor course as well. So watching her almost get hooked on everything Gundog and get really involved has been super, super nice.
As you say, I'm almost like getting goosebumps. I'm like, it is like the whole story, isn't it? She'd never really been involved in anything in our world other than she had a cocker. That was it. And then suddenly burst out of her shell into this person who was like fully into it and doing really well with it. But yeah, I fully love that thought. What one piece of advice would you give handlers going into 2025?
Enjoy your dogs. I know we have dogs to work and do stuff with, but ultimately if you can't have fun with your dogs and enjoy training with them and enjoy downtime with them, all those little bits, then there's not really any point in it. So have fun with your dogs, enjoy the training journey, and yeah, just have fun.
Are there any emerging trends or approaches in Gundog training that you're excited about, like where we can start talking or seeing a new way of doing stuff?
So obviously myself and the other experts all use a lot of positive reinforcement in our training, but I think using some of the more reward-based stuff in training is probably happening more and more. So even little things like maybe using treats to develop a retrieve on a dog, we've seen masses and masses of success with developing deliveries and things like that. So I think possibly moving away from more traditional stuff into fun-based stuff like we do a lot of, I'm quite excited about. And I think as a result of that, it's bringing a lot more people into gun dog training because it's not seen as quite so scary and frightening. So yeah, that's probably what I'm most excited about, is getting new people into the sport that maybe wouldn't have looked at it before.
What is one habit or mindset shift that handlers should focus on to improve their training journey in the coming year?
I think it goes back to that other point I said about taking the pressure off. I think once you actually start enjoying the journey, rather than being really focused on my dog can't deliver to hand or my dog can't do X, Y, and Z, and just focus on breaking it down and enjoying that journey of creating your end goal. Yeah, that would be it for me.
If you could predict one key skill every handler will need in 2025, what would it be?
Creating a bubble. Yeah, keeping your dogs nice and close and engaged is the start of most things for me. If you've got that engagement in that zone, then you can start doing bigger and better things.
Okay, some personal reflections now. My last couple of questions, Jim. How has being an LWDG expert impacted you this year?
Same way it impacts me every year, really. Having you guys and the members as a sort of almost little support blanket and community to chat to vent to, and yeah, just to meet loads of new people that are like-minded and know that they're all there and they've got your back.
What's one thing you've learned from the members or from the community at large in 2024?
I'm not really sure it's something that I've learned, but it's probably something that's solidified in my brain, of the supporting everyone else and having each other's back, sharing wins and sharing bits that don't go so well, and how important that is to your journey. So you can share a win and everyone can celebrate it with you, but equally when you've had a naff day with your dogs, you can go, oh, this happened, and everyone's there to laugh about it and pick each other up again. So yeah, I think for me it's just solidified the importance of having those people in your journey and not going at it alone.
Finally, last question. If you could summarize 2024 in one word or phrase, what would it be and why?
I really want to say damp, because I feel that the weather has just been damp this year.
I think we can go with the word damp to finish this call.
I feel that's a really naff end to the call, saying damp.
No, but I do think it's something we can all like, because 2024 has been damp for the entire UK and probably for other countries as well. Yeah, I think it is actually a perfect singular word that we can use.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Jem, for answering our questions. And thank you to all the experts for taking part of this, because none of them got to see the questions beforehand and none of them have heard each other's answers. So I'm sure when this comes out, they'll all be like, what did they say? What did they say? But yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed 2024 as a whole and you're looking forward to 2025. And we'll see you all next year when we become a fortnightly podcast. See you very soon. Goodbye. That's it for today's episode. A massive thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to head over to the LWDG and sign up for our membership. Get access to expert-led training, a wonderfully supportive community, and the resources you need to become a confident and skilled gun dog trainer. Let's take this journey together, because no woman should have to train her gun dog alone.